Helps if I take the mic off mute, doesn't it? Hello everyone, welcome to today's stream. You'll just hear the music slightly in the background. I'm just double checking, make sure that the audio is coming through. How are we all getting on? Well, here's me talking to myself before I put the audio on. And there we go, I can actually hear myself. Let me turn the volume down there. So I'm watching my preview over here on my iPad. So slightly different setup this week. Sorry about last week, I just was not well. I'd had something disagreed with me completely and I'd had a really rough night, so I thought, yeah, it's not worth trying. Today, we're going through a heat wave here in Perth. It's been bloody hot, to put it politely. Certainly unseasonably hot. You know, I was talking to someone the other day, and they were over in Victoria, and you know they were quite cold. They were saying, and I was saying here it's like it's the weather I expect in late January, maybe February. You know, peak summer weather. Temperature yesterday was 38 Celsius, which I think is about 92 or something like that. Let me just go and quickly do a quick conversion. So 38 C in F. Typing in the wrong place. 38 C. 38 C. I know, exciting, isn't it, watching somebody type in? So 38 is 100.4 Fahrenheit. It's been like that virtually all week. Very, very uncomfortable. It was so bad on Monday. I was recording a number of videos on Monday that my camera overheated on the last one. So when it comes out, you'll know which one it is because I do put something up. It was one of those videos where you can't redo the video part because it was an unboxing. Little sneaky hint here. It's actually an ink vent video. So it was like one, I couldn't really redo it. So you can actually see there's loads of missed frames, and about 3/4 of the way, the camera just stops, shuts off completely. I do have some photos which I then finish the video with. Let's go quickly look at the comments. So Donna, welcome to you, Donna. Good evening. Hope it's nice and cool where you are. I tell you something. I don't know if you can actually see. I'm sweating already, and it's 8:30 in the morning. And it's 25 Celsius at the moment, up from 22 when I got up at 6:30. It's been a hot nights as well as hot days. Simply Orbs, yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you, welcome. Hopefully I won't disappoint. Good evening, good morning, everyone. Yeah, I can't remember who it is who starts a video. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be. I can't remember who it was. There's some YouTuber I watch. Chris, good morning from Toowoomba in sunny Queensland. Welcome to you. Blonde Scales 1, hello all. BJ, hello everyone. Hope all had a nice Thanksgiving and have many things to be thankful for. Yeah, that's something, it's still something I find a bit, I'm not going to say unusual. We don't have that concept of Thanksgiving here. And obviously in the UK we don't have that, which is a shame because I actually think it's a brilliant idea. Ricardo, good morning. Simply Orbs, fantastic. Chris, yeah, 100.4. It's been warm. Honestly, it's been like it's middle of summer. That's the sort of temperatures I expect. It's been very, very uncomfortable. Blonde Scales 1, glad you feel better, thanks. Yeah, it was just some kind of 24-hour thing. By the time I got up on Monday, I was back to normal, well, as normal as I can get. Hi from Michigan, from Marie. Simply Orbs, that's incredibly hot. Wait till summer, then you can talk about hot. Summer, we go over 40 quite a few times. 40 is, I've got that calculator up now. Get the right keyboard. 40. 40 is 104 Fahrenheit. Does start to get quite warm then. Okay, on with the show. Are there any more comments before I move on? Let me do that thing with that. I've worked out how to get comments to refresh. Richard Miranda, yeah, 2 degrees Celsius here in London. I was talking to my daughter yesterday. She lives in North Yorkshire, and she was saying like it was -2 overnight, and she gets up really early in the mornings. She said it was absolutely freezing. There we were sweating away, and there she was wrapped up and shivering. Okay, so the topic for today: how did you get your very first fountain pen? And what was it about it that inspired you to become a collector? Now, this was asked by somebody on, it might have been actually on one of these streams. So if you do ask a question, I do add them onto my list for future topics. It might take a while to get around to it. I'm just going to, I thought of something now. I was just about to write down something I want to talk about. Just adding that on. It's like always the way you get ideas. That's why I always have my pen and paper. So today's pen, we'll look at this in a little bit. Ranga Santa. So what was my first fountain pen? I'll be honest, I can't remember the model. It was a Parker though. It was when I was... Whoops, I've just kicked my overhead camera. Hopefully I've not knocked that off too much. So it was a Parker. I'm going to say it was something like a Frontier or something like that. Actually bought from W.H. Smith's in Scarborough, which is where I grew up. Remember that bit? And it came with blue ink cartridges. Amazing the little details you can remember. So for years I used a number of different Parker pens, all bought from W.H. Smith's in Scarborough. Again, I remember them little details. Main reason for this is it was mostly for school. We went into secondary school at 11 in the UK, and the history teacher, always remember him, absolutely awesome teacher, really is. But one of his rules is you had to write in fountain pen, or using a fountain pen. He always had an ink bottle there, a Parker Twink ink bottle. It was blue, that you could refill your pen from. So there was no problem with it running out of ink. You would just go and refill it. But you had to write using a fountain pen. And if you wrote a ball pen, if you handed the work in and it was written in a ball pen, or even a roller ball, he wouldn't mark it. It would be given straight back to you, and you'd be told to rewrite it using a fountain pen. So that was really how I was introduced to them. So it was mainly going through school initially. And then on and off after school, so after 16 when I left school, I still did use a fountain pen, but it was more on and off. Again, it was always a Parker. So I ended up, with a Parker Sonnet. I got a Frontier. I had a number of other pens, but the ones I brought to Australia, or my key ones, were a Frontier and a Sonnet. Then, obviously, many, many years goes by that I was using them on and off. Then it was about 2020, start of 2020, before the coronavirus stuff came into being, so that's how early it was. I wanted to get, I had that feeling that I want to get back into fountain pens. All my life, I've been driven by IT. I'm very much IT focused. And for many years, I tried with my Apple Pencil and my iPad Pro, taking notes on the iPad Pro. Hated it, completely hated it. But I forced myself to do it. I've tried typing my notes, but I find if I'm typing my notes, I'm concentrating too hard on the typing, and that would take me out of the meeting that I was in. So after a while, I just thought, why not go back to writing? But I thought, if I'm going to write, I don't like writing with a ballpoint, I will be honest. I've got some nice ballpoints that I've had for years. I've got one which was bought from Harrods, very nice, very pretty. Obviously, I use the Bic Crystal and those style of pens. Never really enjoyed it. So I thought, yeah, let's go back. Let's look at fountain pens. Now, the two Parkers I had, the nibs on them, they aren't the best. And I would get a lot of flow issues. Because I was hardly using them, it didn't bother me. But I thought, look, if we're going to do this, let's go and get a brand new pen. So I started looking on mainly mainly Amazon and eBay, because obviously getting right back into it, I didn't really know about all these shops that sold fountain pens. I knew there was one in Perth, but it's a long way away. And I knew that a couple of major department stores also sell them. But again, it was, a fair distance. I forgot to take off the comment. There we go. But again, it was a fair distance. So what I did is I searched around and I thought, yeah, I like the look of this one. And so I got this, the Pilot Metropolitan. Got it with a medium nib. And I also got a Con 40 converter to go with it. Now, I might be remembering wrong, because obviously this was 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago. It may have come with one of those squeeze converters. I don't think it did. I think it just came with the cartridge. But I thought, let's get that. And at the same time as buying that, I thought, well, I really want some ink to go with it. So I ordered 2 bottles of ink from the same place, which actually turned out to be Pulp Addiction over in Melbourne. First one I ordered was Pilot Irishizuku Momiji. I thought it was a red ink when I saw the pictures, but when it came, it's got a slight pink tone to it. As you see, I've not used that much because I started buying other inks very quickly, especially once I discovered Cult Pens and Diamine. The other one is, again, this was a Pilot Irishizuku Shinryoku. Nice green there. So I ordered these pens, then I started watching a lot of YouTube videos, discovered a loads of different YouTubers to follow, and really it's from watching them that I thought, right, well, I've got this, it's working nicely, look at all these cheap Chinese pens. And that actually led me to AliExpress. I knew about AliExpress before, but I never ordered anything. And that started me going down the Chinese pen route. And got a little bit hooked on that because, at the price, yes, some of them aren't the best pen, but there's loads of different styles out there. There's loads of different ways you can actually try different things without it costing a fortune. One of those Chinese pens I bought was the Moonman M800. I bought that mainly because it was actually Doug Rathbun from Inquiring Minds. He'd been showing the Leonardo Momento Zero that he got, and also the M800s. And I thought, I love the look of that Leonardo. I love the look of the Leonardo Momento Zeros. I will be honest. Can't afford many of them. Wish I could. But I think they look very, very nice. And then he was showing the M800, so I thought, yeah, that's a way I can try out these pens without spending a fortune to make sure that I actually like that style of body, that style of the section. So got the Moonman M800s, got all 4 of them, 4 different colours. Loved them as well. Based on that, I then saved and I bought my first Leonardo Momento Zero, which was the Leonardo Momento Zero Dark Hawaii. I don't have it out now. Loved that. So got a couple more. A couple more Leonardos. Also from that, I then expanded out into other Italian pens, so like the Viscontis. And I was finding with, let's be honest, the more expensive pens. I mean, not as expensive as a lot of pens, but that $200 to $300 Aussie dollar range. Could get some extremely nice pens from different manufacturers. And that's what hooked me onto those. And although I still like Chinese pens, I would say Chinese pens, about 70-75% of my collection are Chinese pens. Sorry. Yeah, really like them. But I was finding that the more expensive pens, the whole writing experience, it might be in my mind, it might be like subconscious, because I know they cost more money. But that's where I was thinking, yeah, these are nice. I enjoy these. I enjoy writing with them more than I enjoy writing with the Chinese pens. And that's then what led me to experimenting with the nib choices. So I moved from the fine, which I was getting with the Chinese pens, into mediums, then into broads, then into the 1.1 stubs. And as I've been going on, I think I'm enjoying the wider nibs. So like on this Ranga Santra, I've got a 1.1 stub nib. At the moment, that's my sweet spot for a nib. Really enjoy that. I don't buy too many of them because they're easy enough to swap them around, which is another thing that I started doing. Especially I started with some of the Chinese pens till I got confident of swapping the nibs. Most of the pens number 6 size nibs, so they're easy to swap around. And now there's a video coming out next month, I think it is. I'm playing around with some different styles of nibs. So I've got a Jinhao 100, which I've now put a cursive italic nib. So I've actually done a video of swapping that nib. When you watch it, if there's something I've done wrong, please shout it out, because that's how you learn. It's by people telling you where you've gone wrong, what little mistakes. If they correct you, then you know for the next time. So that was, in a nutshell, how I got into collecting fountain pens. Let me go and check the comments. If I can get my mouse over to the right window. Up and then down. Blonde Scales 1, 100 Fahrenheit is pretty normal for some here. That's why I like it when it cools off in October. Yeah, I like March. March is similar to October where you are. You've still got the nice weather, but it's not as hot. Hopefully I'm going to pronounce this name right. Elia Rose, hi, welcome to you. Blonde Scales 1, that would have been a cool thing to do in school. It would have just taken a 30-minute drive to Little Rock to get a pen from Venice. Yeah, I really think that teacher, at the time you think, it's a bit weird this, isn't it? But I think it's an awesome way. You've just got somebody who gets a large number of people into fountain pens. I think it was brilliant, and certainly I'm glad he did, because it's led me down this route. Simply Orbs, yes, I can see that. You're very comfortable with technology. Yeah, as I say, virtually everything I do is technology first. If I've got a technology solution that will do it, I will use that. But, and this is what, as I said, back in 2020, I came to the realization, brilliant, technology is brilliant, but sometimes you just want something that works. And something that works is a pen and paper. It's something you can carry around with you virtually everywhere. You don't need to worry about electricity. Maybe what you do need is a little bit of light. You can't write in a dark room. Well, you can, but it looks rubbish when you try and read it back. So yeah, it's technology first, but be sensible with it. And I've got to be honest, I've noticed that since doing this is I do feel more productive. What I'm doing is, when I'm taking notes, I take notes on something on pen and paper. Then within half a day, I'll sit down in front of my computer and then I'll type out my notes. And as I'm typing it out, I'm able to add in little extra bits that come to mind. When I wrote a note, there might be something later on in the meeting that was said, so I can actually enhance that note. I can also link it to other things, which is difficult to do on paper. Which gives me a nice, consistent and fully linked series of notes. And that works in well with everything else that I do. So everything then might start on paper, still ends up in the computer. Blonde Scales 1. My first fountain pen was an M&G one from Happy Strappy subscription pen box. I ended up with a number of Chinese, Japanese pens from those boxes. Yeah, it's something over here. It's a shame they don't do those subscription boxes. Not so much now, but when I was starting out, they would have been brilliant. I love the idea you get a surprise. You're getting surprised in there. You don't know exactly what you're going to get. I know Cult Pens in the UK, they've been trialing some subscription boxes, but the downside, they're only for UK. There's not something you can order international, and obviously because of the population size here in Australia, there's really not sufficient demand to do something like that here, which is a shame. I don't know if it's still going on. There was a small company, I think they're based, they're somewhere over in the eastern states. They used to do an ink subscription box. I've never tried them, but That's something I may try, but at the moment I've got that many inks. I don't need any more ink. Any more comments? And we'll move on. Oh, yeah. Simply Obs, yes, but unplugging helps as well. Yeah, it does. I say up till 2020, everything I did, my entire life revolved around using my iPad. Still does. I say note taking, I use pen and paper, but my calendar, my task management, everything like that, that's on the iPad. But it's nice, and I enjoy on a morning. I spend about half an hour to an hour every morning, so I'll journal. I personally like to do my journaling on a morning because I've had the night for everything to mull over in my head. I then do what I call my writing practice. So they're what you see in my shorts videos each day. I do 2 A5 pages of quotes that I find. I've got a couple of apps that I use for that. Then I do my bullet journal. It's just nice to just be sat at my desk. Yes, I've got the computer on for the quotes, but that's all I use it for. Robin, hello from Florida. Welcome to you, Robin. Garry, have you tried any of the number 8 size Chinese nibs? If so, what are your thoughts? I have. We'll look at this very quickly when we come back to the pens that I've been using this week. This is the Jinhao 9019. I've also got an X159. I've been using this one this week. Very personal thing. I've got large hands. Absolutely love this. It fits so well in my hand. My wife, who's got smaller hands, hates it because it's just too big for her. It feels clumsy to her. To me, one of the most comfortable pens that I've got. And I think if I do have a bit of arthritis in my fingers, and on days, not so much at the moment, but days in the colder weather when they're playing up, I think this is going to really come into its own because it's got that wider grip to it. Elia Rose, hopefully I pronounced that right. I enjoy both tech and old school things. I use tech to acquire the old-fashioned things, as my small town has nowhere to get to fountain pens and such. Yeah, I'm the same. The nearest shop, I say there is a shop in Perth that does sell fountain pens. That's about 70 kilometres from where I live. 70 kilometres, what? It's about 55 miles. So it ends up, if I'm going to go into Perth, it's a full-day trip because you've got to get from home to the train station, get the train in, get what you want, wander around, have some lunch, then train back. I don't actually go to that shop. I've been there once, and the sales assistant was the most rude, ill-mannered woman I've ever met. I believe she's one of the owners. I will not go back there again. She lost a customer. I think, honestly, she was just so... I can't believe how rude she was. So I buy everything from the internet. I buy quite a bit from Pulp Addiction, they're in Victoria. Desk Bandit, they're actually located the other side of Perth, but it's online only. They don't have a store. If they had a retail store, I would quite happily go to it, but they don't, so that's all mail order. Chinese pens, I get most of those through AliExpress. I've looked at Temu for a few pens, but the price, I seem to think the price is always more than buying on AliExpress. And Temu don't seem to have the same amount of choice. So, yeah, AliExpress. Up till about a year ago, the vast majority, I would say 80% of the non-Chinese stuff that I got came from Cult Pens in the UK. Not doing that at the moment. Main reason is nothing to do with Cult Pens. It's to do with the exchange rate. So the Australian dollar to the UK pound, I think when you do exchange, I think it actually goes Aussie dollar to US dollar to pound. But it's terrible. It's really, really bad at the moment. So what was, something that, 18 months ago cost me $350, now costs over $500. Just way too much because of that exchange rate. When the exchange rate comes down back to the more like that old level, if it ever does, then I'll start buying from Cult Pens again. But at the moment, it's actually not worthwhile to be doing that. And, the main thing I would buy from Colt Pens now is die mining. And up till last year, my ink vent calendars say. Got my ink vent calendars from Colt Pens. This year, looked at the price, and if I could get it without shipping, it was still cheaper to buy it here in Australia. So I bought it from Pulp Addiction. So yeah, I buy an awful lot online. Blonde Scales 1, the downside of small town life. Yeah, it is. When we moved over here, the job I had, I actually worked in Perth. And I had a parking spot. So it was like a 1 hour drive or 1.5 drive, depending on traffic. In the morning, coming back home was usually about 45 to 50 minutes, which wasn't too bad. Sorry, I'm itching all over because I'm sweating that much. So I was in Perth 3-4 days a week, so it wasn't too bad. The other 2 days I worked at home. If I wanted anything in Perth, I could go and get it when I was in there. And the parking spot I had was open on a weekend, so if I wanted to take the wife in for anything, we would just drive in there, park up in the office, and that was like 10 minutes walk from Perth CBD. So it was quite handy to do that. Obviously, I don't work there anymore, so that's now what makes it into a full day trip if we're going in. The beauty and why we live where we are. We live in a oceanside suburb, so we've got 5-minute drive, and we're on the beach on the Indian Ocean. Absolutely beautiful. Often we've seen loads of dolphins and stuff like that, just swimming wild. It's very, very nice. Blonde Scales 1. Happy Scrappy started with planner-related subs, but had to end all subs thanks to COVID. Yeah, I think COVID's got a lot to answer for. I certainly think it's helped a lot with online ordering. I think people that before wouldn't have ordered online did, or started to. So interesting to see how that one goes. Not really been into planners, so I know I see a lot of people, with the planners with the fancy stickers and everything, and really they go to town making all these beautiful pages. Me, I take the pad out and I just write. Not an arty type person. Simply Orbs. That's how I got into fountain pens. I was a software engineer, had a cycling accident, became disabled, couldn't type, but I can write. I think, I'm sorry that you had the accident, but yeah, I can understand. And I think nowadays I would be described as a software engineer. Obviously, where in the UK, my degree is computer science, so not engineering. I've always described myself as an application developer. My first job was working with something called Ingress, which was a relational database, a bit like Oracle, if you know that sort of thing. I then went into doing C work, some Java work. From there, I went to the next place, which was very heavily Ingress, but I did then a lot of Visual Basic. Really got into Visual Basic 6, quite liked Visual Basic 6. I did some Delphi work, so that's I think it was Borland, and that was based around Pascal. Stayed with the Ingress. Then the company I was working with then, they were moving from their stock, their ordering merchandising systems from Ingress to an off-the-shelf type package called, at the time it was called Retech, which was subsequently bought and is now called Oracle Retail. So I did a lot more Oracle work. And then I was made redundant, so I had some time on my hand, and now I spend a lot of time doing Swift and Swift UI. Absolutely love it. But as I say, always have my notepad here. These are notes I was making. You won't be able to really make out much, but as I'm going through doing stuff, as I'm thinking of things, trying to work things out, I've always got my notepad and that's what I use, and that's writing down. Dean, hi, we've got Dean from Adelaide. Welcome to you. Blonde Scales 1. You would hate the M&G pens. They are quite thin, but they do have a nice weight. And I'm not into thin pens, but the weight does make a difference. This is why the Metropolitan, it's thin, but it's a bit too light. Whereas, like the Ritmer, again, we'll have a look at this. Gorgeous, right weighty pen. So nice to use. Elia Rose. TMU is much faster at my location, but the price is higher and the selection is poorer. Yeah, exactly the same. So TMU here generally delivers in about 10 days, whereas AliExpress can take anything usually from 2 weeks up to maybe 6-7 weeks now. During COVID, it was an awful lot slower. My biggest complaint with TMU is the delivery solution that they use. They use something called something ponies, wild young ponies or something like that. Absolutely crap. First order was all right. Second order, it gone on to 3 different vans and then vanished. So TMU had to resend it. Just awful. That's the main reason when, if I get something from AliExpress, I would get from there rather than TMU because purely their delivery. Absolutely garbage. Ali Rose, yeah, TMU definitely, it's a bit more expensive than AliExpress. Not the choice, but as I say, it's the delivery. Will, don't worry about being late. Hello to you. Thank you for joining. Will, I use planners, but they are undated. Too much stress. My poor eyes are going. Too much stress for that. Now I'm retired. So the main planner I use, this is a Logiterm 1917 bullet journal. One of the supermarkets had these stickers, Marvel stickers that I used, and then you can see I've had a couple of things from, I think it was Goulet, and I can't remember where that one was from. So I use this. I don't use it really as what I do. You can see there Friday was dev work. I'm just making sure there's nothing on here I don't want you to see. Like there's a previous page. So what I do is I pick 2, maybe sometimes 3 different things that I want to have looked at or want to do that day. And I still do more, but these are like the I must do. So every morning when I'm doing my planning, I'll just jot them down here using the pen of the day, as you can see. So it's nice and pretty. I only do that Monday to Friday though. Saturdays and Sundays, I try to avoid doing too much in terms of work. So that's why I just leave that. Blonde Scales 1. Finding planners led me to field notes and fountain pens. Do you know, I hear a lot about field notes, but I need to get some. There's someone over here which does sell them. At the moment, I've got a number of those smaller notepads, so I don't really need them yet. But yeah, that's on my list. Next time I need some smaller notepads, I'm going to get some field notes to try. Elia Rose, I got a planner expressly for my fountain pens. Yeah, I've got to be honest, that's the main reason why I've got all these notebooks. When I was just using, little things, this is what I used to use a lot of, rather than notebooks. Fountain pens work all right on them. As you can see there, that's actually some ideas I had. And for Inkvent, for the order of my Inkvent videos, there's a little bit of a sneaky peeky. Blonde Scales 1, cool. Let's refresh these. Lost the mouse again. Simply Orbs, you're into Swift UI. I am. Absolutely love Swift UI. Started a new app a couple of weeks ago, which is also using Swift data. And I've got to be honest, I like Swift data better than I like core data. Would more than happy to chat about that with anybody else. Obviously not on here because most people go, oh my God, what's that? But if you're interested, drop me either a thing in here, a comment or something like that. Send me an email. I think there's a way in YouTube to send emails. If not, email me youtube@eves.id.au. That's eves.id.au. Happy to set up, maybe some kind of chat with other people. Might be on here. We might hopefully be able to maybe do like a Zoom call. Love to talk technology. Love to talk Swift UI and Swift with anybody who's using it. It will help me learn, help other people and bounce ideas off each other. Will Hodge, I picked up some laconic daily planners from JetPens and love them. Paper is excellent. Yeah, paper's been quite interesting. Hopefully you saw the video I did the other day about the Tomoe River papers. Main thing for me with that, as somebody who's using pens to write, I don't really notice a difference. They both seemed very, very similar. I've got Regalia paper, which I want to use a bit more. Really enjoying this. I know I keep this purely for these videos. This is Midori MD cotton pad. I now have to line off everything up again now I've moved that. Chris, yes, I used undated desk planners. Chris also makes his own, which I think is absolutely awesome. Lots to the moose. Okay, so that's all that. Next thing, this is what I was planning on showing you last week. My loving wife has made me a gift. I've just moved that. Let's go to the overhead view. I'll just scoot on over. So we've been talking a while, me and my wife, about pen rolls because I'd seen some pen rolls and she liked doing crafty stuff. So we found this material in Spotlight the other week. That's a craft, best way to describe it, craft, soft goods, stuff like that. So we've got Yoda here with a Christmas hat on. We've got R2-D2. We've got C-3PO. Got Darth Vader there with a Christmas hat on. So we saw this material and I said to her, look, I want something for my December pens. Normally I use my Gale and Leather folio, but with it being December, I wanted something Christmassy. So I said, can you make me, use this as our first attempt at a pen roll, which is what she's done. So she's made this gorgeous pen roll for me. So I'll just use the Metropolitan here. So we've got, there we go. It's got 10 pen slots. The end two are a little bit wider than the rest. So I can put things like my Ranga Model 5 in there if I wanted to, so the wider pens. Absolutely awesome. I'd say this was our first attempt. So I've got 10 pens now that I'm keeping in here. It rolls up. Then she's put some ribbon on to tie. She's made the first one. We've come up with a couple of little improvements for the next one. That won't be made for a while. Sorry, excuse me. But one of the things we're going to do is somehow taper in here, because we've noticed when we roll it, certainly down near the bottom here, you can't really see it, can you? Down here, you can see some of that lid sticking out. But it's absolutely awesome. It was brilliant. We'd been talking about it for ages and absolutely loving it. Let me go back to the camera. So that was something I was going to show you last week because I think it's brilliant. So you'll actually see that from Friday, which is 1st of December. That's when the new Pens and Use video comes out. Oh, my nose is running now. Today's mug, if you haven't noticed, is a Marvel mug, and I've got my Minter tea. The other thing which I'm starting planning at the moment is earlier this year I did a fountain pen tournament where I started with, I think it was 16 pens, and it was like a knockout over a number of weeks until we got down to a winning pen. I'm going to be doing that again in January. What I'm going to do is, on the live video, I can't remember the actual date. Let me just get here. I can tell you the date. It says, pulling up his calendar, move it to the screen where I can actually read it. So today's that. So I think it'll be the live on the 17th of December. I'm going to do the draw for which pens will be used for a tournament starting in January. I'm going to do it in December because I like to record a little bit ahead of time. So that gives me a couple of weeks to record the first video. And I thought, we'll do it live on the stream. And then, everyone can see exactly what's going into it. So that's something that we'll be doing, as I say, at the moment scheduled for 17th of December. time to look at some... Oh, let's look at these comments, then we'll go back to the pens. Move them to the mouse. Wool Hodge, yes, saw your video. Japanese paper is great. Yeah, it was quite... I say it was very interesting just to look at the differences between them. You know, because you've seen... I've heard, or certainly I've read and seen lots of horror videos about them. But when it came down to it, to me, using them, I've got to be honest, I couldn't really tell much of a difference. Blonde scale is 1. As long as paper works with my pens, then I'm happy. Yep. I said, you know, that notepad I showed you there, that was from a company called Typer. I think it was $2. The notepad that I'm using for my daily writing, he says, just opening at any random page. This is one I got it from Temu. You know, the paper's not brilliant, but doesn't show through too bad. There is writing on the other side of that, just to show. Little bit of feathering, but I can live with it. And seems to work well with most of my inks. Let's pop that away. Marie, that pen roll is so cool. It is. It's absolutely brilliant. I absolutely love it. It's what I've asked her. We've been buying material to make these with for ages, and it was something that, you know, we kept putting off because we thought it was going to be harder than it is. But this is so cool. It's very, very nice. I'm putting it down there. I should hold it up here, shouldn't I? Very nice. I've asked her to make me some more, so I may actually, hopefully, try and have a different one for each month instead of using that Galen leather folio. I don't know. It depends how much I can sweet talk her. I've also suggested that she start making them and we try selling them on Etsy, because, you know, what we're trying to do is, you know, I look on Etsy and there are some pen rolls, but they're all, I want to call them boring. Whereas, you know, if we can get loads of this, you know, like Star Wars, you know, there was Harry Potter type, you know, so we can theme around like a lot of pop culture type things. I think it would be very nice. So I've suggested she does that, but she's a bit humming and hawing about that. Wool Hodge, Miss Eve's done right. Miss Eve's done you right. Nicely done. It is. I say it's just very, very nice, and you'll see it more next month because it's going to be used for my pens in use, and you'll see me loading it up on Friday's video. Robin Allen, what a nice, talented wife you have. Yeah, she is. She's absolutely awesome with things like that. I often refer to her as the crafty cow. I don't have a crafty bone in my body, but she loves doing it. That bag looks absolutely awesome. It is. It's better when you see it in real life. Bad news, I've had 2 Jinhao X159s break on me. The top holding the clip fell off. This happened twice, and I'm very careful with my pens, so I'm staying away from Jinhao for a while. That's a bit concerning. If it happens to one, you think, well, yeah. But once it happens to more than one, and certainly more than one with the same person, you think there's something gone wrong there in the manufacturing. Certainly that's what I think. So sorry to hear that, but hopefully that's a warning for everyone else. If you're getting these, do keep an eye on them. All right, let me just refresh these again. Are there any more? Where's that? Do you know I keep losing the moose? I wish there was a brain interface that you can just connect your brain straight to the computer and it does what you want. Right, let's go back over to the phone and we'll do some writing. So the pens this week. This is the pen that I've been using every day in my quotes. So I write the quotes in my pen of the day. Then I write my thoughts about them underneath each quote in this. This is the TWSBI Diamond 580 with a broad nib. Absolutely love this pen. It's nearly out of ink, so I'm guessing this week sometime it will be swapped. So this is a TWSBI Diamond 580 with a broad nib. The price for this pen, roughly 85 Aussie dollars. The ink is by, I think it's Octopus. I think it's Octopus Fluids. I just write Octopus. And it's petrol axolotl. It was quite interesting the other day. We were watching NCIS Sydney. Not sure if that's been shown yet in the States. It's the latest in that NCIS franchise, but this time it's based in Sydney. And in there, one of the bad guys, they had an axolotl walking about in the tank, and it was key to the story. Quite interesting to see that. NCIS Sydney, I'm not overly convinced about it at the moment. I'd love to get other people's feelings on it if they've seen it. It seems too much of just like an Aussie crime drama than a like NCIS type drama. So this pen's out of ink. So this was the pen from Sunday of last week. This is the Pilot Custom Heritage 92 piston filling pen. And the piston was all the way down. And this has got a 14 karat gold nib. There's the nib. I cleaned this out. What I do when I clean this out, I actually pull out the nib and feed, and I use my syringe to clean all the way down to the bottom. Next up, Monday's pen. This was the Lamy Safari. This has got the broad nib. And I've got a converter. It annoys me you have to buy the converter separately. But I mean, it's a cheap enough pen. Very light pen. This is a pen, I just don't know what it is about it. I can never get used to it. I just struggle with it all the time. And it's not the grip. I actually quite like the grip. It's weird. I think it's the lightness. Next pen, also out of ink. This is a Jinhao 9019. So as someone was asking earlier, this is one with a number 8 size nib. With this nib, it's a medium. I had some hard starts, quite a lot of hard starts. I've already flossed the tines once because the tines were extremely tight. It's improved it. There's still a little bit of an issue. So I'm not planning to do it now, but before I next use it, I'm going to pull this nib out again and maybe try and spread those tines a little teeny bit more. See if that helps. Nice big sizable pen. Brand new type of converter. A lot wider. Sometime in the new year, I'm going to do a bit more time with this, and I'm actually going to see if I can measure how much ink that takes compared to a normal Jinhao converter. All the rest of the pens do have ink in. So we've done what? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So Wednesday's pen. Twisby Draco. Pen I love to hate. Beautiful looking pen. Very pretty, very nice. Piston filler, it's a Twisby. Do not like this ink window. I think the ink window is next to useless. It is a bit thin, but that's fine. It would have been all right. But the actual ink, not sure if you can see it or not. Can I get my hand underneath? It doesn't take up this full window. There's a little bit of a section there which has got the ink in. So half of this window is what's got ink. And to me, I just cannot see the ink level. It really is difficult. Nice pen to hold, nice size of it. Nib, in my opinion, too small. Should have been a number 6 nib. Should have been a 580 nib. So this is a Twisby Draco with a broad nib. I paid 215 Aussie dollars for it. The ink is by Pure Pens, and it's the People's Charter. So you can see here, it's running out of ink. This is an issue I have. I just have to shake it a couple of times, and that gets it going again. I've pulled this nib out a few times. I've tried, I've checked the tines, I've checked the feed. Get this all the time with it. You're writing away and it'll stop writing, which is a shame because the pen looks nice. I think it's well overpriced. I really do. If it had been more like $150, yeah, I think that'd have been more reasonable. And I know they've just had that Twisby Kai come out. I wouldn't even think about buying one because of the issues that I've had with this. So that's a Twisby Draco. The next day, we went for a US pen. This is the Monteverde Ritma. Well, I'm saying US. The company's US. I think is it Jaffa Brands, is it? I can never remember who's the main owner. Very weighty pen. I believe the pen's actually made in China. Loads of weight in this. This is the 2021 limited edition in olive green. Just going to give this a bit of a shape because there's a shimmer ink in it. Whilst that's doing, can we see anything there? There we go. I'm not sure if it comes over on the camera, but this Pure Pens People's Charter. It's like a crimsony type background. Beautiful, like green sheen to it. Very, very pretty. So we've got, I love the noise this makes. I'm just going to do it on here. I think that sounds really nice. So we've got a Monteverde, Ritmer, broad nib. You might notice a pattern. Broad nibs virtually all the way. Cost wise, you're looking at 92 Aussie dollars. And the ink in here is Diamine Mistletoe. So it's an Inkvent ink. Nice green ink. Love this. Nice colour to it. Love the weight of this. Love that snap. Section, I'd like to have had a little bit of an hourglass on there, but you know, it's usable. It is metal and it does feel slippy. Next up, Narwhal Skullkill. So staying with a US based company. Again, pens, I believe, made in China. Porpita Navy, this is. Lovely, lovely finish on this. Again, piston filler. Again, we've got an ink window. This time the ink does go all the way through it. Just about usable. Personally, my personal point of view, I'd have liked that to have been double the size. That would have made it easier to see, but I'm being extremely picky. Got the Narwhal nib, so the in-house nib. And there we go, this is in medium. Let's move this up. We've got a Narwhal Skullkill. Medium nib. Again, this is 92 Aussie dollars. The ink is by Diamine. And what is it? Ah, yeah, Ruby Blues. I've just realised I said that Mistletoe was a shimmer. It's not, it's a standard. Diamine Ruby Blues, beautiful blue ink. Has a nice red sheen to it as well. Not an in-your-face red sheen. I find it's a nice subtle one. Hopefully that might start coming through. I can certainly see it on the Narwhal Skullkill words. Not sure if that comes over on the camera. But quite a subtle sheen. Very, very pretty to look at. So that's a Narwhal Skullkill. My final pen of the week, so this was yesterday's pen. This is a Retro 51 Tornado. This is the Lincoln, so it's like an antique copper type finish. Retro 51 nib there. This has got a stub nib on it. So we've got, this one does have a shimmer ink, so let me just irritate it a little bit. Irritate it, agitate it. Agitate, irritate, same thing usually. At least that's what my wife says. She often says to me, do you know you're irritating me? Then the next breath it's, you're agitating me. So we've got here a Retro 51 Tornado. It's got a little bit of a flow issue here. Could be though because it is a shimmer ink. I do find a lot of my pens don't like shimmer inks, and especially when it's hot. 1.1 stub, and cost wise we're looking at 115 Aussie dollars. The ink, it's by Diamine, and it's vintage copper. So no, it's really playing me up today. So it could be the heat, could also be, I'm being extremely careful when I'm doing this. Now, the converter doesn't fit very well, so it's often coming loose, and that does cause issues. See, I've got plenty of ink in there. See, plenty of that shimmer still there in the converter. So I'm not sure. Just scribbled off on a piece of paper at the side. That seems to be a bit better anyway. I love these 1.1 stub nibs. You know, the character you get. I'm not even going to attempt. Yesterday when I was writing with this, it was writing perfect though. So that's the Retro 51 Tornado. Can we see any of that shimmer? No. And I've noticed that this yesterday when I was using this. Don't get a lot of shimmer coming through with this ink. If this carries on, I'll change the ink in there for something different. Because it's a copper coloured pen, I've got a number of inks that may go with it. But yeah, a bit of a shame that, because yesterday was beautiful when I was writing with this. Then today's pen, as we see, this is the Ranga Santa. It's another one with a shimmer ink in it. It's got 1.1 stub. The ink in here is by Diamine. And it's all the best. On today's writing, when you see the videos for that, it'll show it as being Diamine Spiced Apple. It isn't. I got myself confused. It's all the best that's in here. But they do look quite similar out of the nib. There we go. So we've got like dark red, we've got a gold sheen. Not sure if it comes through on here, but often get hints of a bright blue shimmer on it. So they were the pens that I've been using this week. Let's go back to the comments. Ooh, loads of comments. Chris Robinson, that's a shame. I've had good luck with all my Jinhao pens. I've got to be honest, so have I. I don't think there's one Jinhao pen that I would say wasn't very good. Oh, I've just noticed, you can see my entire setup. I'll have to work on that for next week. So you can see here, this is my iPhone connected by a cable into my computer. That's how I get the iPhone camera. So yeah, I normally try and hide that, so I will try and hide that next week. Wool Hodge. I've had several Jinhao X159s and 9019s. Have yet been able to unscrew the nib section. Anyone else been able to get the nib section out? So let me grab this and grab these. Whoops, threw that one on the floor. I've got to be honest, I didn't try unscrewing it. Let's try that now. This is just like some rubber gripper. That's a body come off. Yeah, I can't, it seems quite hard to, all I do though is I get out of that, gently hold the nib and the section, I just pull it out. So there we are. And then going back in, bit of a tight fit, but I just then slide it back in again. So that's how I've done it. I haven't tried to unscrew it, I've just literally pulled the nib and feed. Be careful if you do that, you know, don't hold that feed too tightly, you can damage it. Just be careful when doing anything like that. You do it at your own risk. Chris, I use one for those sticky rubber pads to hold nibs for removal. Yeah, so I can't remember where I got this from. I want to say it was Aldi. They had a pack with loads in. Not this size, they were about that big. What I've done is I've cut them. I just cut them down. So if I can find the right drawer. I can't remember where I put them, but I've got loads of these. I've got, I think, enough to last me a lifetime. Dead easy to do, and it wasn't overly expensive. Chris, 1.99 millilitres plus, so that's that Jinhao 9019, that converter. That's an awful lot of ink, isn't it? Elia Rose, I don't understand being required to purchase separate converters for pricey pens. When you buy a nice cheap Chinese pen, they're like, here is your included free converter, have a nice day. I am completely with you. A number of my videos you'll see me making that comment when I've had to buy a converter. What was the latest one? Is it platinum? I think you have to buy a separate converter if you want that. Sailor, I'm not 100% sure if it came with one or not. But yeah, when you're paying $200-300 for a pen, and they expect you to pay another $15 for a converter, they're just being tightwads. That's all they are. That's one of my things that I really like to stand against. Falling in Love, what an awesome screen name. Hi Garry, greetings from Poland. Welcome to you. Wow, Poland, we've got people from all over the world. We've got UK, we've got Poland, we've got the States, we've got Australia. That's awesome. Chris Robinson, yes, the Jinhao converters will fit international standard pens like the Faber-Castell, which also do not always come with converters. O2 Scar Plan. The Dynamine Mistletoe looks fantastic in the limited edition Ritmer. It does. At the time when I was putting it in there, I was a bit dubious. I wanted to put Dynamine Olive Swirl in here, which was from last year's Inkvent, but it's a shimmer ink. And when I had it in this pen last year, it was a nightmare to use. The shimmer was terrible for blocking up the feed. That's why I wanted a standard ink. And I thought, yeah, that Mistletoe, it's a nice, I want to call it like a dirty green, is a nice way to put it. Goes very well, and it's a really good match. Blonde Scales 1, irritate the ink. Yeah, I know. I keep saying a lot of my videos. You'll hear the story about how I'm always irritating the wife and agitating her. So I get them two mixed up all the time. Will Hodge, Twisby pens seem to digest shimmer ink pretty well with a broad or stub nib. Yeah, I do normally put shimmer inks into that 580. I say I've got that Petrol Axolotl in there, which it's an ink which can stain. It's fairly new ink, and actually on the box they say if you're going to put in a fountain pen, don't leave it in there too long because it will cause problems. Ricardo, would it be better to remove the converter before unscrewing the nib section? That's what I do with my X159. You're right, I should have unscrewed, especially because on this, the converter is a screw-in. So let me just remove that. Maybe that's where I went wrong this time. Yeah, I'm still getting the same issue. It doesn't seem to be unscrewing. All it's doing is actually pulling out the nib. So it could be maybe it doesn't unscrew. Love to know if anybody has any success with that on the 9019. Let me just pop this back together. Will Hodge, I can snatch the nib out no problem, but Jinhao sells screw-in nib sections, but I can't unscrew them from any of mine. So it must be, I don't know then, maybe they're just very, very tight. I mean, it does look, when you look at it, I don't know, again, you can see, it does look like it is a separate screw-in unit. Maybe it's just so tightly in, there might be a different way to get into there. Something worth experimenting with. I'm not going to do it, obviously, on the stream at the moment, though. Let's refresh the stream. Johnny, welcome to you. I just got a Monteverde Innova on the Atlas 60% off sale. Writes like a dream and came with a nice threaded converter. Yeah, this Ritmer is my only Monteverde pen, and I think this too, let me just double check. Yeah, this is a screw-in converter, a threaded converter. I do like them. I think that's a brilliant idea. Got a number of pens like that. Conklin also have a screw-in converter, so maybe, again, I think it's Jaffa Brands. Maybe it's something to do with the actual owner likes that. Blonde Scales 1. My Bennu didn't have a converter, but it did have the longest cartridge I've ever seen. I'm sure my Bennu did come with a converter. I want to say it might have been a Schmidt converter. Not 100% certain. It's a while since I've got it, so I can't really remember completely. Just refresh the comments again. There's a pastel Bennu with cats all over it. I'm tempted, but converter or no. I've only got one Bennu. Where is it? It's here. Here we go. This is the only Bennu I've got. This is the Dragon's Blood. It's the Talisman is the model. The pattern is Dragon's Blood. All the other Bennus I've looked at way too sparkly for me. There was one they did. It was one of the hand-painted ones. Sort of liked it, but it was just way too pricey. But Bennu, beautiful pen, the one I've got, writes absolutely gorgeously. Ricardo, it is very hard. I have unscrewed mine as I have an extra fine and medium section. I like the idea that they're selling separate nib units now. I think that's a good idea. Just wish they'd do a broader stub. Anita, welcome to you. Here lately, everything I work on requires more work. Yeah, I know that feeling as well. Work begets work. I can't remember where I heard that many years ago. That no matter how hard you work, it seems that you're not working hard enough. It used to annoy me many years ago when I was back in the UK. I remember I used to be sat there typing away at the computer, and I would see everyone else around me just stood there chatting. I used to think a word which I won't pronounce on here because it might get me banned by YouTube. But yeah, work always does seem to do it. Yeah, always seems to do that. Any more comments? Fall in Love. I also had a little issue when I was trying to unscrew Jinhao 9019 nib section. I had to push the nib section towards the barrel and unscrew it at the same time. It helped. So there's a brilliant tip. Awesome tip there. Might be worth you giving that a try. I'm not going to do it now. I say I'll leave that to play with later. And then another look, see if we've got any more comments. Right, so that's all the comments. So we start to talk about videos. So the videos that have come out in the last week. Last Sunday, I had my Pilot E95S Focus. Had that pen about a year now. Love it. Although it's not inked up at the moment, it is very quickly after I bought it became one of my favourite pens. And in the last year, it's been inked up virtually all year. My voice is starting to go now. We must have been going for about an hour, is it? Yeah, an hour and 10 minutes. Oh, my Lord. Tuesday's video, we looked at my EDC carry. So obviously that's changing because I've got my pen rule for this month. But when I'm going out and about from the house, I don't often do that now. What do I take? You know, we looked at my two bags, both by Crumpler, one a small, one a big, and the different things that I would take out and keep in them. Miss Marilyn Darling put a comment on there. The amount of stuff in the bag there, wow, I can't believe it. I think I'd be walking like this if I had that much. Friday's video, as I've already mentioned, was looking at the Desk Bandit Tomoe River paper that came in the Desk Bandit sampler pack and comparing that new Tomoe River paper with the old Tomoe River paper in a couple of notebooks. Today's video, yesterday, I keep forgetting my tricky little questions. Yesterday's tricky little questions was a November photo quiz. So 10 photos to see if people can guess what they are. This week's video, so this afternoon, I recorded a video where I themed it around nib size. So it's looking at, I think it's 6, might be 5, could be 6 different medium nibbed pens. Sorry. The juice is coming out now because it's so warm. You might be able to hear, I don't know if it comes over on the mic. Because it's so hot, I'm sat here with my patio door open, which is why the lighting's slightly different, because normally I close that blind, but with the door open, I've got the blind open as well. And there's some crows outside. Don't know if it comes over. I love hearing the animals here. Yeah, so this afternoon, I digressed a bit there. Medium nib comparison. And there's, I think there's gold nibbed pens, there's different size pens, there's Chinese pens, non-Chinese pens. Try to cover quite a wide selection, but within that medium nib family. Video coming up on Tuesday. That's going to be looking at my November pens, so the pens I've been using this month. What are my thoughts on them? And that's where I'll rank the pens. Friday's video will be introducing my December 2023 month, which will be all Inkvent inks up to this year. So I've got some from the 2019 calendar, some from the 2021, and some from the 2022. So December, all the inks I'll be using in December will be Inkvent inks. Also coming out will be the very first, the primo, day number one of the Inkvent 2023 calendar video. So each day I'll be opening up the Inkvent calendar. What I do then in the videos will be swatching the ink. Off camera I do a quick chromatography. Hopefully I remember to fetch the chromatography strip in. Last year it was a bit of a pot shot if I remember to fetch it in or not. So yeah, we'll look at chromatography. I'll do a quick writing sample. And I compare the swatch to some of my existing inks. Looking forward to this because that's always actually the bit I enjoy, trying to see, is this similar or different than any existing inks? I also open up my Cadbury's chocolate advent calendar, and then a gift from my wife. I'm going to swap here. Oh, it's a bit too, can I? It's coming too large. I'll have to just see if I can reduce this. This is what you get from doing something just before you go on live. So, past couple of years when I've done my Inkvent, my wife also does me a gift to go with it. There we go, there's a photo. So this, she's lovingly done that this year, and here are all the gifts wrapped up. And what she's done, this table that they're on is directly in my eye line when I'm sat at my desk. So I'm sat there all day looking at these gifts, thinking, what's in them? What's in them? What's in them? What's in this one? There is a little sticker on each one which has got the day number, so that's the day that it can to be unwrapped. So in my Inkvent videos, I'll also be unwrapping one of these gifts. The Inkvent videos, I do not put the name of the ink in the title or the description, so I've tried my best to avoid spoilers. How I look at it, if somebody starts watching the video, it's very clear from the name that it's an Inkvent one. So if you don't want spoilers, obviously don't watch them, but hopefully people will watch them and enjoy them. So that's going to also be starting on Friday, and there'll be one a day. With these Inkvent videos, I try to keep them about 8 to 10 minutes in length, so they're not overly long, but they're just looking at the Inkvent inks. On my live streams, I do not intend to discuss any of the Inkvent inks until after the end of it. Again, it's purely, I don't want like spoilers getting out there. If somebody's a few days behind opening their calendar and they want to keep that air of mystery, for want of a better way of putting it, don't want to spoil that. So we won't really be talking about them on these streams. Next Saturday, obviously, will be day 2 of Inkvent as well. What I'm looking at is, again, coming back to my IT background, here's my keyboard on my desk. Very much in the Apple ecosystem, as we were talking about with SwiftUI. So I've got an Apple keyboard there. But we're not talking about the Apple keyboard as such. What we're talking about is keyboard layouts, mainly the Dvorak layout. I don't use it, I use QWERTY. But I just thought it'd be something a little bit different. Then Sunday of next week, I'm actually going to be doing a fountain pen focus on this, the Ranga Santa. One of my December pens, how can it not be? Book of the week, I'm nearly finished Terry Goodkind's Naked Empire. When I was ill last weekend, I had a couple of days I just did not feel up to reading, so I didn't do any reading. But yeah, that's what we'll be looking at next week, is hopefully getting finished during the week. Then I'll be back to Terry Pratchett, and I can't remember which one it is off the top of my head. I should have made a note on that. Which one is it? No, I'm not sure. I don't even want to guess. Looking forward to getting back to Terry Pratchett. I absolutely love Terry Pratchett's books. So let's go back to the comments. Will Hodge, agree with you. I would love to see Some are broad or stub nibs from Jinhao in a number 8 size. Yeah, that's, to me, it's one of the things which is missing. Same with all Chinese pens, not just Jinhao. Christmas question. If you have a way to track your favourite pen of the year. Yes and no. Not really, because I've got to be honest, I love virtually all of them. So a lot of it is going off memory. I do have my database, which I've shown a few times. In there, I record when I use a pen and the ink that I use in it. And then I also record my thoughts about it. When I do a fountain pen focus video, the ranking system, the points that I put down at the end, that's actually a direct export from my database. So, I put the comments and I then have various features that I give a score to. But that's really the only way. It's not something I really go out of my way to do. I haven't really done a favourite pen. A lot of it, I say, it's just going off memory. This year, at the moment, would be that Pilot E95S. Absolutely love that pen. Elia Rose. I got last and this year's Inkvents from Cult Pens, and I've been opening the green one all this month. That's an awesome idea. Get yourself ready. My son 3D printed some awesome matching wall racks for the little bottles. What a brilliant idea. I think Chris Robinson, he's 3D printed some holders for his as well. I'm afraid I'm very low tech with mine. Let me just grab it. This is my Diamine ink box. Okay, so it's a box. Well, obviously it's a box. Now let's see if I can actually show you what's in it. There we go. So these are purely Diamine inks. No other manufacturer. Let me take that out of the way. That's my cloth I use to wipe off my nib when I fill a pen. So up to here, that's all the 30mm ones. Then I've got all the Inkvent ones. And then at the end, the larger bottles, they're the larger Inkvent bottles. I think they're 50mm. Put that out of the way. Oh, the mic was turned the wrong way. Hopefully you heard me then. So that's how I keep them. Simply Orbs. I'm kind of growing in my fountain pen adventure. At first I was extra fine all the way. Now I'm opening up to medium, bold and other stubs. Exactly the way I started. Started out extra fine and fine. Thought I would never need anything other than extra fine or fine. Sorry. As time went on, they're very similar. So I went to the mediums, to the broads, and absolutely love 1.1 stubs. I've got a 1.5, which I use for titles. That's in a Lamy All-Star. Here it is. So this is a 1.5 nib. I want to get some 1.3s. I like the look of them, just to see how they look compared to the 1.1. 1.5 too big for my normal writing, and so that's why I keep using it just for titles. Blonde Scales 1, I need to go. Thank you for joining us, Blonde Scales 1. Yeah, I'll be wrapping up. Wow, we've gone really long. I'm going to be in for a terrible telling off. Elia Rose, have a great day, night. Hi, Teresa, welcome to you. Hello to Jacob. Let me refresh the comments. I know this is coming in because I can see on my Mac, not on my Mac, on my iPad, comments coming in. Teresa, I've got a couple of Asvine P20s and a Kaigaloo 316 coming my way. Love the Kaigaloo 316. I've got a 316 and I've got a 316A. Virtually identical pens, some little changes. Very, very similar to the Jinhao 100s. Do love my Jinhao 100s. Asvine, yeah, looking forward to trying I'd love to try an Asvine P20. Love the look of them. I know my wife has told me she's got me some pens. Don't know. Let's see what's in them. Will Hodge, great collection of Diamine ink. I think Noodlers and Diamine gives you the best bang for your buck. Absolutely. And because of the amount of Diamine ink, that's why I'm on an ink buying freeze. Because I've just got so much. And what I need to do is use some of that up. So far this year, I've been focusing on ink samples because, again, I've got a load of ink samples. I've now reduced it to this many. Still quite a few to get through. But once them ink samples have all been used up, then I'm going to move into like focusing a lot more on the diamine inks. Okay, any other comments before we wrap up for the night? Or the morning? Or the afternoon? Nice collection of diamine, the only brand I use. Yeah, I would say 90% of my ink are diamine. I do have another box, similar box, but with different ones. So, I've got a couple of the Iroshizuku ones. I've got a number of Pure Pens inks. Got a couple of some Dominant Industry. Herban. Quite a few other ones, but yeah, primarily I think diamine. You can't go wrong with diamine. Alio Rose, my Kai glue are so much broader in nib than the Jinhao. Absolutely, my 316A. Or is it 316? I can't remember which. But I think both of them. They say it's a medium, writes more like a broad. Very nice to write with. Very, very wet and juicy nib. And that's all the comments. So thank you all for your time today. Absolutely love this. We've gone on really long. Maybe it's because of not doing one last week. I had to make up for that. Thank you all for your time. Hopefully you'll catch some of my videos. I'm terrible at self-promotion. I keep being told I've got to mention this. Please like the video. If you're not a subscriber, please also subscribe to the channel. And if you're able to, please, can you have a look and think about membership? Join the channel as a member. All the income that I get from memberships, that goes towards buying new stuff for the channel. So I actually got my latest YouTube payment during the week, and I've got 3 pens now on order from a completely brand new manufacturer, an Indian manufacturer. So hopefully they'll arrive within the next week or two. When they do, I'll hopefully show a couple of them off on the stream. Then next year I'll do proper first impressions of them. So thank you all. So I'll say like, subscribe, share with your friends, and if you can, please join as a member. So thank you all, and I'll talk to you again soon.